Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Kurt Bjorklund.
Ecclesiastes 2 is talking about the vanity, the havel, the transitory nature of the things that we tend to make our biggest things. And in verses 7 through 9, we come to where Solomon, assuming he is the author, says this. He says, I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. And I had great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delights of the sons of man, or of the human heart. So he says here that he acquired more stuff. Now, clearly the acquisition of slaves and concubines is morally reprehensible. And it's probably a whole nother topic to talk about how Solomon and the writers of the Old Testament in many cases seem to be part of this, although it's also a reminder that even in the era in which we live, there are probably things that we participate in that are not ideal before God, but it doesn't keep us from being used by God or in relationship with God. So his possessions, he says, I had more than anybody. I had all the herds, all the flocks. I had gold, I had silver, treasures. And then he talks about singers, basically employees and in that sense, people he could employ for his own purposes. Verse 18, 19, again, say it this way. Here's what it says. I hated all my toil in which I toiled under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. So now he's saying something similar to productivity, but he's saying I couldn't keep all the stuff that I had. Verse 19, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? Yet he will be master of all for which I have toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity or something that seems worthless. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun. He said, I can't protect it. I can't keep it. I can't protect it. And then verse 21, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and great evil. Again, great raw. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? And so he says, in essence, I had all these great possessions and I couldn't keep them. I can't protect them. And I can't even totally enjoy it because he had so much. He couldn't even enjoy it all. I mean, think about how many people buy things and can't even enjoy them or have so much money that they can't even spend it all. I mean, you might say, well, that's not my problem, and it may not be, but the issue here is, again, what he's pointing to is that having a lot of stuff is something that we think brings us happiness, and it actually doesn't. There's been a big move in recent years toward minimalism, and I think the trend is swinging back away from that. But the movement of minimalism was basically saying more stuff means more worries, more headaches. It doesn't necessarily mean more enjoyment. It means more things you have to take care of, and you feel more bound to the more stuff that you have, so get rid of stuff. I remember years ago, a friend of mine moved into a much bigger house, and his statement was, after he moved into the big house, he said, if you think that living in a 50% bigger house will make you 50% happier, you're deluded. Do you know what he put his finger on? The wisdom of Solomon. We spend so much of our lives striving to say, if I could buy that car, buy that house, if I could have enough to retire, if I could have enough to go on that trip, if I could have enough to buy Christmas gifts without any restriction for family and friends, or if I could, and fill in your blank. And he says it's all vanity because ultimately that is not where you will find your deepest satisfaction. So have you been putting your hope in having a day when you can have more? If so, the reminder is that even those who've had a lot say, it didn't bring me the happiness I thought that it would.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.